Newsbeat. This week's Earth Positive News, brought to you by Made by Planet. This is Beaky, your host, bringing you happy news from across the globe, so friends, stay tuned. First up, we have exciting news from Kenya's coast. At the Mwanamia fish landing site, Garama Karissa and his friends keep fixing their fishing gear. He's an expert at threading needles to mend a net, making neat squares the size of a saltine cracker. He then heads out with two other fishermen and sets sail to the sea. They are locals and they could fish wherever they wanted nearby as there are no restrictions as such. But not far away, to the south, there's a special part of the sea where fishing is not done at all. It's like a safe home for the fish and is locally called a tenchview, Swahili for set aside. This idea was inspired by their ancestors, who knew how important it was to let the fish grow. Many other locals from other regions and even the government liked this idea, and they encouraged other communities along the coast to do the same. Because this idea worked so well, many other places now have their own no-fishing zones. Clearly, this story shows us there is no limit to taking from nature, and it is us who should ensure a happy balance. Next up, we fly to Brazil. In the city of Aracruz, in the southeast, a group of Brazilian scientists rescued 3 thin-spined porcupines from a sandbank forest that would be suppressed by the construction of a port terminal. This rare species is the most threatened porcupine in Brazil, and their biggest threat is habitat loss due to coastal development driven by modernization. The thin-spined porcupine is a small, yellowish and nocturnal rodent that barely has any hair, as its body is almost completely covered with quills that resemble bristles. The porcupines were relocated to a nearby permanent preservation area with similar habitat conditions and were monitored using radio over various periods between October 2015 and March 2017. At the end of the monitoring period, researchers concluded that all translocated animals were well established, and this is a huge motivation for many such translocation initiatives. Up next, in Orcabessa Bay in Jamaica, J. James is taking care of special sea animals called long-spined sea urchins. These animals are quite rare to see in the Caribbean now, because of a disease that nearly wiped them out. The disease made them lose their natural spines and making them vulnerable to predatory fish. The long-spined sea urchin is a key algae grazer in the Caribbean, and because they were affected, algae started spreading and it affected the entire coral ecosystem. Jay knew something needs to be done urgently, and in November 2022, she put Orcabessa Bay Fish Sanctuary's plan for an urchin nursery into action. Sanctuary staff gathered young, healthy urchins there to start the nursery. The method of caring for them is fairly simple: feed them every 2 days, ensure the water in their tanks maintain the natural salinity of the sea and avoid exposure to excess rainfall. This is a crucial initiative and there are more such nurseries planned. Such timely intervention is needed because fewer urchins, sicker corals, affecting the entire ocean ecosystem. Let's now head to India's Tamil Nadu state, where government has announced the country's first ever conservation reserve for a cute sea creature called a dugong. Did you know the dugongs are the only herbivorous sea mammal in the world? They eat only sea grass and nothing else, and are classified as vulnerable by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN. The reserve is situated in the Palk Bay area of the Gulf of Mannar, not only aims to protect the marine mammal against poaching and harmful fishing practices, but also help to shield the coastline from the worst impacts of climate change. Seagrass, a marine plant which grows in shallow waters, is hugely beneficial to coastlines. It produces oxygen and cleans coastal waters, and protects against rising sea levels and natural disasters by absorbing wave energy. The dugong keeps the seagrass cropped, which helps to regenerate the grass and prevent algae growth. Overfishing and poaching pose problems, as they get entangled in nets. Fishermen are known to sell the catch rather than release them. The Wildlife Institute of India are working with locals to raise awareness of the laws against poaching, as well as trying to increase their engagement with conservation efforts. They offer financial incentives to fishermen who release trapped dugongs back into the water. These gentle creatures of the ocean could use with all the help we can give. Now friends, let us meet this week's eco-warrior, 12-year-old, named Justin Sather from Los Angeles. His passion for saving frog species started when he was in kindergarten, learning about the frogs dying from pesticides and how the frogs are special indicators to show health of the environment. He started a special project called For the Love of Frogs, and it was his way of raising awareness and money towards environmental causes. His efforts through Justin's Frog Project, JFG, were recognized and he was awarded a Young Eco-Hero Award from Action for Nature in 2020. Justin and his family made bowls from plastic bottle caps using an old garage as a workshop. His mom, Sherry, taught him to never give up, just like a book they read. What do you do with an idea? Justin met the legendary Jane Goodall, conservationist, whose work with chimpanzees is inspiring. It was she who brought his attention to the plastic pollution issues and how it is a big problem for the oceans. Immediately, Justin and his family set to work to make lots of bowls from recycled plastic and gave these bowls to their community to use. He fundraised Project, the Reserva Project, to purchase and conserve acreage in Ecuador. He raised money for Protect 78 acres of land in Ecuador and helped create the world's first youth-funded 244-acre reserve with My Reserva Youth Council. But that's not all. The project also helped discover a new species of frog. He teamed up with Boyan Slat and helped clean 800 pounds of trash out of some of our world's dirtiest rivers by using the interceptor boat. His efforts not just pulled his family but the whole community to help out with the various initiatives. Today, he has a dedicated digital platform where a larger number of people from across the world participates by taking positive actions. Do check his initiatives on justinsfrogproject.com and see his leaping height goals. Before I sign off, friends, here are some of the best art imaginations received last week. So, if you have positive art creations on our planet Earth, send them to me on the details given in the description below and I would love to feature them. Until next time. Happy Earth, happy children.